My name's Thomas Waddle. This is the Whisky Sour Hour, episode 12. It's been a fast week, as a lot of people will have. It's a long weekend. If you don't have that, the weekend warriors, I'm with you. I've done it for 12 years. I appreciate that you're out working hard at the weekend, but think about the time and a half, double time if you're getting it. It's pretty glorious. And the Easter eggs on Sunday, which are always a bonus. You've joined us at a good time. It's almost a kind of third of the way through the year. I think it's a good time to take kind of stock of what we had as in cinema wise. I think it's been a pretty slow year, and speaking to people throughout the week who have been asking, what are you going to be talking about in this week's show, I think the fact for the almost probably the last month on the build up to a Minecraft movie coming out, I have been saying I don't think that's the movie to be starting, the summer holiday kind of film going season, and I was totally wrong, and I'm here to eat humble pie to my audience, which is, it's hard for me to do. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I will do it. No, it's going to be a show where we look back over the kind of last 4 months, just movie wise, a little bit what's coming out the now, and a little thing I've been doing recently, just to get back in. Sometimes it's a struggle to find something to watch, and I kind of set myself little goals to be like, this is the reason to watch this movie, and I've got 2 duologies that we're going to be speaking about, and there's some connections between them, so once we get to that point you'll understand it. But let's get into the box office, which has been pretty bonkers as of late. Obviously March is technically not the beginning. I mean, we say summer movie season, but obviously it's the beginning of spring. But traditionally, maybe in the last 10 years, so pretty much constant, there's always been a big release. If you remember back to 2016, you had Batman vs Superman at the end of March, and that led into the Captain America Civil War. Not that there was connections, but they just ran into one another. And pretty big blockbusters, 800 million, 1.2 billion, 1.2 billion. God, numbers, great. But yeah, they're usually kicking off in huge numbers. As of now, outside the top 3 highest grossing films of the year so far, everything has been under 200 million, which is really low, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Obviously, after COVID, it was difficult for, I think, a lot of people. I enjoy cinema. I think it's a hobby for me to go to the cinema. I really enjoy it. When it's an absolutely scorching day and maybe you've got really bad sunburn, it's the coolest place to go, literally. The air conditioning there is pretty on point, so I really enjoy it. But I do understand, especially people with kids, it can be expensive, and I know cinemas are doing things to get people to come back, but it's not always the best place to go. Especially you've got a lot of cinemas. We're quite fortunate in the west coast of Scotland. We've got a really good selection of cinemas. I know anybody who has to travel more than half an hour to a pretty mediocre cinema isn't going to want to do that. So the fact that films come out pretty fast back in the day, again, just speaking, I was a big Batman vs Superman fan, so when that film was coming out on home media, I was going to say home video, but home media, I remember it came out March and it was the beginning of August before it came out, so you had nearly 4 months waiting for it. There's films now 2 weeks after they've came out, if they're not doing well, or maybe there's contractual reasons why they'll come out really fast, so it is difficult to justify going to the cinema when you can spend £15 on owning the video digitally, so you can go and do that. So the numbers are ridiculously low, and again, it's not just the fact that it hurting the films, the amount of people that work at cinemas, and it's livelihoods. How many times I go to the Paisley Cinema, the Showcase, which is pretty lush, and there's staff there. I'm pretty sure I've worked there for probably about 25 years. I've go in and I'm like, I recognise that fella. It's nothing like the guy for The Simpsons. It's they're wearing suits and that. So yeah, you go through And you see these people and you're thinking, that's at the end of the day, that's their job, that's their livelihood. So it's not just the films, it's the other people that are involved. And if you can buy a wee popcorn here and there, this isn't, Showcase and Odeon and Cineworld are not sponsoring this podcast. I just happen to really enjoy it. So yeah, we're going to have a quick look at the top 10, and then we're going to look at whatever's going on with Minecraft here, because it is wild. So the top 10 films, when I was looking through this, it's only been, just coming up 5 months into the year when we're recording this. It's the 18th, so it's the day before the episode goes live. But when you're actually looking at the top 10 here, and when we go through them, I'm sure there's some of these films you're going to be like, did that come out? When was that out? So number 10 is Den of Thieves, Pantera. That was the Gerard Butler-led kind of heist movie. I vaguely remember seeing the first one. Den of Thieves, again, number 10, and this is a worldwide gross, and remember it's in dollars as well, so it's made just shy of 60 million, and it's in the top 10 now. Obviously this is, by the time we get to the end of the year, when you've got like Avatar, you'll have had Superman, the Fantastic Four, those movies, you're going to look back and these films are going to be well down. But the fact is, you've got a film there at 60 million, it's made, the likes of Snow White, which is, slightly higher up. The budget for that film was, five times what that came in. So you're looking at the numbers and what it costs to make these movies, and the number that they actually need to make back. You wouldn't be making those deals if you were a businessman. I don't know why. Maybe merchandising, that makes a difference, but something like that, these movies, you need to make kind of the middle ground movies, or the middle, you've got your AAA, your multi-million-dollar blockbusters that come out, and then you've got your art housey, really low budget kind of movies. I think since like Netflix and the streaming services came about, those kind of mid-tier movies that you would go and see at the cinema, they've kind of died away, because those are the films that a lot of the time appear on the likes of Amazon and Netflix and Paramount Plus and all those, Disney Plus, all those kind of streaming services, just because somebody's not going to go to the cinema to see like one of the best movies of all time, obviously Shawshank Redemption. It didn't do well at the time, but obviously it's grown an audience since then. But it makes it difficult for movies like that at a time like The Green Mile. Obviously Frank Darabont, the director of Shawshank Redemption, went on to do The Green Mile. That movie then, off the back of that, was better. I'll be honest, I don't see that getting made. And the kind of low budget films you'll see that back from this list, that they're very much like either low budget for what they are, action movies or horror movies, because they can be done in the cheap, and they're going to make back a lot of money on them. So you've got Den of Thieves, Pantera, 60 million. Above that, The Monkey, Stephen King novel, turned into a movie. Heard nothing but good things, to be fair. That has made, again, just over 10 million more. That's just shy of 70 million. So it probably cost in the kind of region of kind of 15 to 20 million. So when you look at how much something costs, it's not about breaking even, as in something costs 200 million, you make 250 million, I've made 50 million profit. That's not how it works. The way you kind of see online, and the best way to work out if a film is profitable or not, if you have something that's 250 million, it's usually times 2.5 is what it needs to make. So if you have something at 250 million, the reality is you're going to be 600 plus to million to be making it worthwhile making. And there's just not many movies that are doing that, and I think you're finding that especially with the Marvel movies. Rather than take the time, go back, rewrite them, they've put so many things out there saying, this movie's coming out on the 26th of May 2026, or they kind of put their flag in the ground, and I think it affects the writing, I think it affects decision making. And then when they're doing rewrites and reshoots, it just makes the budget skyrocket. I think if rather than put the pressure on the studio to make it, and again, it's all down to numbers, isn't it? There's a really good show, actually, Sidebar, on Amazon, Apple, that Seth Rogen's doing, and it's very much the studio, it's showing you how films are made, and it gives you, watching it, you're like, I think that's probably how, like, the chaos of what's going on. But yeah, it's just, it's just disheartening, when you see something like 250 million. Films like that, even the biggest blockbusters back in the day, weren't costing that. I think, if you were to adjust for inflation, I think the Lord of the Rings trilogy cost 200 million to make. It was something ridiculous like that, because they shot them all back to back. Obviously that saves a bit of money in New Zealand and the tax breaks that you got there, but it's just ridiculous, the budgets and how hyperinflated. If you look back to that Electric State, the Millie Bobby Brown Chris Pratt movie that came out on Netflix, the reports were saying it was costing 300 million to make. Obviously that's in Netflix, so you can't really quantify the numbers of that because it's not going to cinema. But how many people are already subscribed? Like, most people have a Netflix account, and I don't know where you're finding the new people to justify getting that. Now maybe people are dead excited about it. I think that movie came and went, nobody spoke about it, and when it's costing 300 million, the reality is it's probably going to have to make $1 billion if it was out in the wild to justify its existence. So it's crazy. But yeah, The Monkey, number 9, 70 million. Working Man above that is just Jason Statham doing what Jason Statham does. I think he just turns up, gets given a script, and he just he does what he does. Recent movies like the Meg and stuff are a bit different, but thinking back to like the Transporter days, great movies, never setting the world on fire, but they were budgeted correctly and they made money, and I think you ended up getting the original trilogy, and then they tried to reboot it, which is the thing that they do these days to something that really doesn't need rebooted. So you've got that there. Number 7, which is one that I'm quite disappointed about, Mickey 17. So Robert Pattinson, big fan. After the Twilight series, kind of goes back and reinvents himself. Very similar to what the kind of path that Leonardo DiCaprio did. Was a kind of teen heartthrob and went and just done movie after movie and really kind of broadened what you would expect from him. And he's in this, and we spoke about it a couple of episodes ago, where it was like Boon Jong-ho and Callum Petrie it saw it, and not that he was setting the world on fire, he was the best bit in that movie, but it's a film that is really underperforming. So Working Man, sorry, I don't even think I said how much it made. That was 80 million. There's a jump up from that to 130 million is what Mickey 17 made, but the reality is Mickey 17 cost in the kind of ballpark of 120 million. So again, that double and a half, it's nowhere near it. And I think from there was kind of conflicting reports. It came out on Tuesday there on digital, so even though it's in the cinema, at that point the people that were wanting or in the fence about going and see it, why would you leave? And let's be honest, most people that are quite savvy enough could probably get a decent copy of it, whether it's in their Fire Stick or if they know what Pirate Bay sites to go to. Not that I'm condoning that. I love my physical media. My 4K collection is becoming a bit monstrous, but it's it's just what I like. But if you want to find it, you can find these movies really easily. So that was 130 million, slightly above that, and probably the most surprising movie this year, number 6, Bridget Jones' Mad About the Boy. I love that movie. The Bridget Jones movies are really, really good, really well written, and Mad About the Boy are surprisingly emotional. When you watch it, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's a wee scene at the end, and man, I was moved. It's again, something like that, you're looking about 30 million, and it made 132 million. Oddly enough, the film itself, while it was out in the cinema here, went straight to the streaming service. The streaming service for NBC Universal. Anybody that knows the NBC sign, I'll understand it. But when I first saw it, I was like, what does that mean? The streaming service for NBC Universal is called Peacock, and it went straight to there in America. So straight away, that's people not paying to see that, apart from obviously going straight to the streaming sites. But to make 137 million basically worldwide, that's pretty amazing, because as I say, it wasn't released in America. So 132 million, so they're obviously very happy with that, because it's one of the movies, maybe it's the kind of set in London, the Englishness of it, it's not going to appeal to Americans, but certainly to make that without having America, that those are astronomical numbers, and it's probably been very profitable for them. Number 5, the just 5 million more, so 137 million, Dogman animated movie. I've saw Captain Underpants. It was pretty decent, but that was when I was a support worker, and I had to go to the cinema to see movies that, you know, were something that I wouldn't really go and see. So Dogman, it's same art style. I believe it's the same writer that this is based off of. It's done really well, 137 million. It's domestically in America. This just kind of shows you just how big the American audience is. So 137 million in America domestically, which is obviously originated in America. So domestically, it's 97 million. So 40 million worldwide. 40 million everywhere except in America. That is I think that's pretty crazy, man. So Dogman, I think it's very. I think if you're under the age of 7, it is the bee's knees. I've heard from a couple of parents it's pretty tedious outside of that, but you know, obviously it's the Paw Patrol, man. That's what folk are turning up for. So that's the top 5 kind of cracked. Number 4, we mentioned it earlier, Snow White, probably going to be one of the biggest box office bombs of the year, and in all honesty, probably one of the biggest in history. Just if you go back and look, this film was supposed to come out like 2 years ago. There was a lot of controversy about, you know, the casting of the dwarfs, and then they went rejigged it that many times that now they're like these CGI monstrosities, and as I say, there's a lot of controversy around the main actresses, Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot. It's been an absolute car crash. So the budget is reportedly over 200 million. The film itself hasn't cracked 200 million worldwide, and it's not going to crack 100 million domestic, which if you're a film worth anything, if you can crack, you know, I'm saying if you can crack, you're at least expected to crack 100 million in America. It's made 87 million in America. Sorry, it's made 83 million in America and 183 worldwide, so just about 100 million from the foreign box office. That is pretty terrible. Again, something that it was going to have to make around the 6.7 600 kind of 600.5 million. It's crazy, or 650 million. I'm getting myself confused with these numbers here. Maths was not my strong point, but yeah, it's one of those ones when you look back over the live action Disney movies, outside of the likes of Beauty and the Beast, which, you know, was amazing, and the live action Beauty and the Beast was amazing box office wise. I've saw it. I grew up. I wasn't watching Disney movies. The amount of people that say, "Have you saw Aladdin?" Right, I've not saw it. I saw Aladdin 2, Return of Jafar on video, and I liked it. I was never mad for it. I played Aladdin on the Sega Mega Drive. That was very good. Never saw the movie, so, you know, it is what it is. But again, they were never aimed at me. So when I saw Beauty and the Beast, I was like, it was quite good. I'm told it doesn't hold a candle to the animated movie. I've never saw them, and I've never had a reason to go back and watch them. But the live action, and the biggest one I think would have been Lion King. But then I always think that's weird, because you're like, live action Lion King. Well, it's not really live action, is it? It's CGI, and look, it's fine. But I don't really want to see realistic tigers and lions talking. I'd rather, you know, I think the animation just adds so much character to these characters, rather than like just any other lion looking. Just there's no emotion in their face. I don't know. I'm not a fan, but I think they need to kind of look at what they're doing here. I know there's a live action Moana, and that's one of the movies that I think when it came out originally didn't really make too much of a splash. Hilarious. And what's happened is it's found an audience over the likes of Disney Plus. So that was in the charts, the Disney Plus like most watched charts for years, and it was probably down to kids. It was babysitting kids, wasn't it? Like, you were, I'm going to do the cook the dinner here, puts Moana on for the kid. But with the likes of Moana, that found an audience. The second movie, you know, was a massive downgrade in a sense that the writing wasn't very good. It was originally supposed to be a TV show. The second movie's came out, and it's been, you know, majorly successful, but the actual audience reaction has went down. So it's probably a lot of kids grew up watching that, wanted to go and see it. You know, it makes close to $1 billion. There's a live action one coming out next year. Again, probably going to do really well. Outside of that, after the kind of bomb scare that Snow White was, Disney have came out and said that they're taking a step back. from the live action, and anything that was planned is, put on hold, because the other one they were going to do was Tangled, which I believe was like Rapunzel. Again, I've seen clips of it. I know there's a really kind of funny looking horse, it has a lot of character, but as what it is. I'm just going to take a quick sip because I'm a bit dry, that's all. There we go, bit of ASMR for you. Sorry, I was really struggling there. I had a bit it was like Jim Carrey and Me, Myself and Irene there, man, Cottonmouth. So you've got Disney reacting to what's going on here. So the films that are already in production, like Moana, are going to come out. Whether or not they'll be good, they're taking a step back to kind of rejig what they're doing. I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of these movies probably need remade. I think they're classics for a reason. One I have seen, actually, funnily enough, and I've not even mentioned it, I have saw the animated Snow White, and even when you look back at it now, it's just such a beautifully drawn and really well made movie. I know they made, again, I'm just thinking of movies that I have saw that are animated Disney movies. Pinocchio, again, I know that they've done a remake of that, and it just never grabbed me. I think when Disney Plus first came out in the UK, which was the beginning of the COVID pandemic, there was a Lady and the Tramp. Again, saw it. Never saw the live action movie, because you're just going to be seeing it again. I don't think it's really bringing much to the table. Again, no, I'm not the audience for these, but I'm just as somebody standing on the outside looking in. When you've got a movie that costs 250 plus million and it's not even made 200 million worldwide, questions will be asked. Speaking of Disney movies that are underperforming, number 3, we've been over this right at the beginning of the podcast, like the episode 2, 3, where we're talking about Captain America Brave New World. Where do we start with this? Again, we're talking about reshoots. The film has been reshot at least 3 times. I believe it was scrapped, then nearly reshot completely, and then they went back for their pickup shots, and I believe they were doing photo, they were filming the extra scenes up until the last kick of the ball. So you're talking, even into the, I've read, reputable sources, I will say that they were doing it up to January. Now this came out February, so I mean that's wild. It's coming up to that point. So again, budget 200 plus million. They'll never tell you the real amount, but at least 200 million, and it's made 414 million worldwide. That's pretty tough, man. That is not great. 200 million domestic, that's again pretty good if it was budgeted correctly, and then the worldwide is 214 million, so that's where you get your full. Again, it's just these budgets are just astronomical, and I think what the problem is, when everything's going right, you don't need to react because it's going right. But I think what Disney are doing and Marvel, they're looking at what's happening, and rather than going let's weather the storm and get through, I think they're going back and trying to tamper with it. What I've never been to any of these, but what film companies will do is, and I don't even know how you get on them, but you can go and you basically get shown a rough cut of the film, and then they kind of gauge the audience reactions and then go for the others. Examples back in the day, a film's getting their ending changed. If you look back at I Am Legend, you've got the ending. Now this is a spoiler for I Am Legend, we're talking 18 years removed, but the original ending was that Will Smith survived, and then people at the time that went and saw these kind of previews didn't like that, so they went back, reshot it, done the ending that we got, and then I'll be honest, I would have preferred them to survive, but it is what it is. So these affect films in such ways, and they've shown that many people. Captain America, Civil War, Captain America, that's not talking about Batman vs Superman, bringing me back there. Captain America Brave New World has been reshot that many times. I believe the wrestler Seth Rollins played a part in it, and his parts have been cut. So it just shows you'll get casting announcements, and then if that person doesn't even turn up in the film, you have to wonder what's going on there. Again, I believe there's an Israeli character in it, probably not going to go down too well just with everything that's going on now. So things were working against that movie. So yeah, probably one of the lowest grossing movies in the kind of Marvel pantheon, 414 million. Again, the numbers sound good, but the budgets need to be done correctly. Number 2, a Minecraft movie. I I will eat this humble pie. I cannot believe I'm sitting here saying that a Minecraft movie has made almost 600 million in 2 weeks, and is likely going to run on to be, the first build. Or wait, sorry, no spoilers, right? But the film at number one has made over $1 billion. It's going to be the first American based film to gross $1 billion. That's not on my bingo cards for this year, but here we are. It's probably not. It's anybody that's been watching films over the last couple of years. The trends kind of pick up, especially with the likes of TikTok. And you have people turning up to the likes of the Minions movies, dressed as Minions or in suits, and causing, I wouldn't say they were causing a ruckus. I think the guys that go and see a Minecraft movie are causing a ruckus with the likes of the chicken jockey videos that you keep seeing about. Now, I'm intrigued to see the movie just because what is going on here? It's probably going to go over my head. I am of the generation that Minecraft, came out. I was 18. I was like, I had Legos, Kinects, Bionicles. I didn't need to be playing digital, Legos. Basically, is what I always thought Minecraft was. Now I'm told that it basically is, but there is like a little bit of lore that comes with it. So maybe the film's good. I thought it would be along the same lines of like a Lego movie, and if it done as well as a Lego movie, that'd be great. Now it's blowing the barn doors off the place. Like I say, it's probably going to be the first American-based $1 billion film of the year, and in all likelihood, it will be challenging the Super Mario film that came out 2 years ago for the highest grossing video game movie of all time, which, again, when you actually take a step back and think about it, Minecraft, just a wee bit of pub facts here for you, Minecraft is the highest selling video game of all time. So make of that what you will. I just, I can't believe we're sitting here, especially when you've got the likes of Jack Black, who's coming off a pretty tough year with everything that went on with like Tenacious D. He's been playing Jack Black for the last couple of movies. It's not a Jack Black of Tropic Thunder, but he's done really well. And big Jason Momoa, Aquaman. I'll be honest, I think he's a brilliant guy. Again, plays himself in most movies, but I'm pretty, I think a Whisky Sour with Jason Momoa would be pretty cool. And he's doing great. Anybody that's following his career, he's Lobo in the new DC movies, which, strange enough as it is, to have a character that was Aquaman, or an actor, sorry, that was Aquaman playing Aquaman, and he's playing somebody else in the same. It's not even like he was in a Marvel movie and he's jumping to DC. He's a DC superhero, and he's going to be playing a DC villain. And I'm sure there'll be reasons for it and understanding why it is. But some of the set photos were leaked at the Supergirl movie, and it looks pretty great, I'll be honest. As in, the costumes and the way Jason Momoa looks in that. So he's just absolutely smashing it, and so is the worldwide domestic kind of gross. So hopefully it's a sign of things to come. Maybe things are getting back to life. Number one, anybody that has been following us, I'm sure you're thinking like, what could number one be? Was it a Star Wars movie this year? So I'm going to butcher this name because it is a Chinese movie called Ninja 2, and it's an animated movie. The Chinese box office is very very, very shady, and I'm only saying that just because it's made, and now this is the worldwide box office gross for this, $1.89 billion. So that number's wild. That's like Spider-Man No Way Home numbers. And the Chinese box office is crazy because it can push some movies into the stratosphere. If you look back at the Transformers movies, the Fast and the Furious movies, they do really big in China. But the thing with the Chinese numbers is you're getting about 20% of your money back. So even though the number's huge, the likes of Warner Brothers, Disney, they don't get as much money back as what they do at the American or worldwide, apart from China box office. And China does push a lot of their domestic movies. So the fact is, just that the worldwide gross, like I says, is 1.89 billion. The domestic, as in the American box office for this, was 20 million. So it's made 1.87 million outside of America, probably the majority of it coming from China. That's frightening. Just, I mean, the size of China, and if you're making it big anywhere, maybe China's the place to do it. But yeah, those are crazy numbers, and I've seen clips of it. Like, I'm not going to watch a kids animated movie with with subtitles. I don't watch. Sorry, no. If I was going to say I don't watch films with subtitles, no, I will. But what I was going to say was, I'm not going to watch a kids one doing that. Maybe if it's dubbed, I may put my head on. Is it going to be as good as Shrek? Probably not. But I've seen clips of it. It's pretty well animated, and I'm sure it would have been budgeted properly. So it's probably making a good whack of money. Whether 1.89 million is maybe maybe embellished a bit, especially with everything going on with the likes of tariffs and listen, it's a measuring contest of a certain type with America and China, so who knows with these things. So that has been the box office. Minecraft is pretty big, and Ninja 2 is really, really big, so it'll be interesting to see what's going on. Out this weekend, Sinners, the new Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan movie, looks really good. Vampires. I'm assuming it's going to be a pretty violent, pretty cool. I've got my tickets booked. We'll be going there Saturday to see that. So I will give you a little review of that next week. Off the back of that as well, you've got a lot of films, because what they'll do is big films coming out, they'll release new trailers. I know the Thunderbolts got a new movie trailer. I'll be honest, I saw the first trailer of the Thunderbolts, looking it's looking good, I suppose. It's had like 4 trailers now since the original one, and you're just thinking that's a bit overkill. I think it's going to be like mid-range. The forecast for it, as in what it's going to be making domestically in its first weekend, is about 70 million. So you're probably going to be looking about 70 to 100 million worldwide at that point. Which again, for the Marvel movies, you've got to think they must be kicking themselves because they've really ran it into the ground. But if it's good and it will have legs, there'll be space for it, and I'm sure it will find an audience. But it very much looks like the Suicide Squad for 2016. Anybody that's saw that movie, like I thought it was fine. It was pretty middle of the road, but it was alright. It looks very similar to that. I don't know if there's any kind of overlap with the cinematographer, but yeah, we'll see how Thunderbolts does. One of the other Marvel films that's coming out, and we mentioned it earlier, was Fantastic Four. It's coming out, and They shown a new trailer. So there was a kind of teaser trailer for about maybe 2 months ago. This new trailer came out, and I think it looks pretty cool. It's set in the 60s on an alternate Earth, so the Fantastic Four are the only superheroes there. It looks good, as in the art style. I'm not too convinced with the likes of the CGI. The Silver Surfer turns up. I don't want to be the guy that's casting it back to 2007. But Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer, maybe the CG's no finished, but why would you put it in a trailer? It just doesn't look that great. I love the Thing. I think the Thing looks pretty cool. Everything else, I'm like, I don't know. We'll see. I sound like I'm being really negative. Like, I think I hope it does well. Not just for the films, because obviously we want cinemas and people to be in jobs and that kind of stuff. But it's tough, and I probably, anybody that's listening to this and has any enjoyment in the Marvel films, like, it's probably going to be listening saying that guy talks about DC an awful lot, and like I love DC. I love Marvel. I have every Marvel movie up until, I was going to say Endgame, but actually, No Way Home in 4K. I love them. I just want the best. I want to go to the cinema and really enjoy myself and have stories that you can go back and watch. And just Marvel, the writing, it's just they've spread themselves too thin, especially with the TV shows. I think it's really detracted from maybe the attention that Kevin Feige, who was the big dog, basically, he was looking over what was going on, and he felt like he was moulding the best. And I don't know, maybe his time's too split now. It's just not as good. Star Wars celebration has been going on as well. There's been Ryan Gosling announced for a Star Wars Starfighter movie. I had to look back because I was thinking Patty Jenkins, who was the director of Wonder Woman 1 and 2, the recent ones, was supposed to be doing a Star Wars Starfighter movie, and Star Wars Starfighter. I'm not sure if that's what it was called, but she was certainly supposed to be directing a movie where the kind of X-wings were taking the centre stage. That kind of fell away. And it was weird. Then they announced it, and there was this lovely video where she like spoke about her dad being in the Air Force, and you're thinking that's quite good. And I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm not saying that at all. I love Ryan Gosling. I think as most guys my age do. You know, he is me, I am him. Anybody that understands that kind of meme probably likes Ryan Gosling. But yeah, Ryan Gosling is in it. It's directed by Sean Levy, who, you know, done Deadpool and Wolverine last year. But I can't look at a movie and look at a Sean Levy movie and think, that's a Sean Levy movie. They're pretty basic looking. It's not like you're watching like a Steven Spielberg movie. You're like, that's definitely a Spielberg movie or a Christopher Nolan movie. You can tell. Sean Levy, I don't know. I think he's an easy director to pick. I'm sure he does. Like he's just the guy that comes in, gets it done, and maybe that's all Disney need. They just need a win. And yeah, Ryan Gosling, as much as I love him, he is not the. He's not a box office draw. To be honest, there's not many movie stars left these days that you turn up just because it's one of their movies. It's, you know, we'll see what happens. Tom Cruise probably is one of the last ones alive around. I don't want to say alive, that sounded really sinister. But yeah, Tom Cruise, you know, likes a Denzel. Tom Hanks to a certain point, but he's kind of fell away. Leonardo DiCaprio, those are the kind of big names. So, like, I'm sure it'll be good. But we shall see. But this is something I would recommend doing. If you're looking for something to watch, or you know, you're just thinking, I need something, but I'm not sure. We'll join in. This is the Whisky Sour Hour Movie Club, and I've got some recommendations for you. And there's a little method to the madness here. It's not just like I've just pulled these movies randomly. So Lauren and I were trying to think of movies to watch, and I was looking through the archive, and I came to Top Gun and Top Gun Maverick. Now, Top Gun's a classic. I don't want to get crucified here. Top Gun is a classic, and I understand that. I think it's dated, but I mean of its time, and there's nothing wrong with that. But when you watch the new one, it does really blow it out the water. And that's not just because they've got, you know, like next gen jets. It's just such a good movie. It's such a well made movie. So we went back. This is a double feature. If I had a wee local cinema, this is what I would do. Double features like this. So we watched the first Top Gun, and then immediately went into Top Gun Maverick. And when you're watching the first Top Gun, you know, it's just so good. Originally, the reason it kind of jumped out at me obviously was because of the tragic passing of Val Kilmer, obviously Iceman. So we were watching it. There was a, you know, it was quite emotional watching it. Just when you see just how like talented the entire team was that were in this. So you're watching it. And it's weird when you like things that I never really noticed. I just always assumed it was like Russia, but they never mention whoever they're fighting. It's just the enemy they call them, and that. But it's, you know, I suppose that's quite good. It probably plays quite well worldwide, because I imagine, you know, if you say somebody's the bad guy, it probably kind of gets their back up. This isn't World War II. You can't say it's the Nazis anymore. So yeah, we're watching it, and yeah. Tom Cruise, man, is just oozing cool, and so does everybody in that movie. Like every fighter pilot, I imagine that the Air Force's recruitment went up by, you know, like 1,000% watching that. So yeah, we watched that, and then immediately went to the second one. And it's when you're watching Maverick, it kind of strikes you just how the first, you know, like 3.5 minutes is just almost shot for shot, just with like newer jets and newer ships, which is I don't know, it gets you going. You're like, this is exciting. Harold Faltermeyer's score just playing is amazing, and I think Harold Faltermeyer, who done the first one, comes in to the second one, and it's not just him. You've got Hans Zimmer and Lady Gaga. You're just thinking, you know, that's a pretty amazing collection of musicians, and that will reflect in the next duology that we're going to talk about today, because there is a bit of a connection that way. And when you're watching the new movie, the new Top Gun, which has been out for 2 years now, just the shots and the way they shoot it, and the way in which, you know, like the actions kind of in frame, it's just I'm going to say it's one of the best sequels of all time, and it's probably one like very close to just being the perfect action movie. So obviously we're watching this, and something kind of comes to me when I'm kind of looking over. I always like to go over the kind of Wikipedia pages after I've watched something, and the director's Joseph Kosinski, and that this is what leads us into the reason for talking about these, because after watching that and seeing Joseph Kosinski, so when I when I went to the cinema for 3D, everybody saw Avatar, and it had been in the cinema that long because obviously it was making that much money. It came out at the Christmas of 2009. I went and saw it in the March, and it was still out, and it was the first 3D film I ever saw. And I don't know if it was just everybody building, up. This is how good it is, and it's when I actually saw it, I was pretty underwhelmed. And whether or not it was a screen or maybe it was just not a good, projection. I honestly don't know. I wasn't amazed by it, and I think maybe when you're sitting for 2.5 hours watching a film like that, if you're not 100% invested, it does kind of drag you out a little bit. So I went and saw that. Was never blown away by it. Never really wanted to go and see another 3D movie. And then like that whole year, seeing the likes of Iron Man 2, and then going and seeing like the first part of the last Harry Potter movies that year, you're thinking, I'm just going to avoid the 3D, because it was difficult to actually go and see 2D movies rather than 3D movies like back 15 years ago. So it was that Christmas, I had a bit of free time, and there was a new Tron movie out, and the first one, and at the time I hadn't saw it in its entirety. I'd seen clips, and I was like, I don't know. And then when you see the trailer, I was like, that looks quite good, because I remember in 2008 they'd done like a proof of concept trailer for it, and it was released at like E3 or something along those lines. It was a really cool trailer. I was like, that looks pretty cool, man. So I went and saw this, and again, couldn't get a 2D showing, so I had to go and see it in 3D. And I'll be honest, that this if somebody was saying what's your benchmark when it comes to 3D movies, Tron Legacy for me is it's incredible, and I think it's really found an audience, not just because the 3D being really good. I don't know anybody that has a 3D TV anymore. I had one for about 5 years, and it was glorious, but the tube started going. I don't know if it was anything to do with it being 3D, and unfortunately I had to say goodbye. But Tron Legacy was it was like a coming out party for 3D movies for me, and I think it just eclipsed anything that Avatar done. But Tron Legacy is directed by Joseph Kosinski, and when I was sitting watching Top Gun, I was like, man, this just looks so good. Like, it looks ridiculously good. And when I remembered back, like after seeing Joseph Kosinski doing that, I remember just sitting, and it was like when you're watching the film in the cinema. I went and saw, like, when I was watching Tron Legacy, you like just melt into the seat and you just become totally engrossed. That's what that was like, and I feel like that's exactly the same. You feel like you're in the fighter jets. You feel like when you're watching Tron, you're in the light cycles. At the very end of Tron Legacy, not spoilers because you're going to go and watch it as part of the Whisky Sour Hour film club. There's like light jets with lasers coming out the back of them, and you're so invested. So I'd said to Lorna, I was like, look, we've watched Top Gun Maverick. I'm going to hit you with a duology, and it's very similar. Legacy sequels, not just in the name. You've got a film for 1982, and it waited 28 years to get this sequel in Tron Legacy. I was like, it'll be so good, and the music's amazing, which we've not even spoken about yet. But yeah, so we'll watch the first Tron. I put it on, and as much as I love the idea, that film is very much a proof of concept of how CG movies or CG in film could work, because it is it's bizarre. It's really weird. I would say watch it just because you can laugh at it, because it's a bit janky. It's a bit like, what is this? But at the same time, you get it. You're like, right, this was so ahead of its time. I mean, when you think about it, right, people were using miniatures, so this was the year before the likes of Star Wars Return of the Jedi came out, and those are films that just still look good. I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but you can look at them and you're like, I appreciate the artistry that's gone into this. And again, Tron, you really appreciate that. But it was so ahead of its time that it was never like, when you're watching it, you're like, why did this not like win any awards? It was because the likes of the Academy Awards were thinking, or it wasn't that they were thinking, they came out and says CGI is cheating. And when you think about it now, if in like 2025, you think, imagine thinking CGI is cheating when the fact that using miniatures, as much as it looks better, that's just not done. I think there's an over-reliance in CG now, so I just think to do a total 180 is crazy. But yeah, we were watching the first Tron, just young Jeff Bridges. When I need to explain this to somebody who's, if you're going to go and watch Tron and Tron Legacy, amazing. Don't go in expecting, like, Tron is not the main character. Like, it's so weird. Like, you've got, like, I am a computer programmer. I make a computer program, and in the computer, that program looks like me. It's not like the Matrix or anything like that, which I think a lot of people think it is. And Tron is a security program that looks like the character of Alan, played by Bruce Boxleitner. And again, although the film's named after him, he's not really the main character because Jeff Bridges is the main character. It's so weird, and there's like so many good throwbacks that come in Tron Legacy. I would say watch it just because there's so many like little things that you'll pick up on and you'll get a bit more enjoyment. It's a bit hard, a bit laborious to get through. It's an hour and a half. You'll be able to get through it. The only thing I will say, and I think Tron Legacy fixes this completely, as it does with most things, but I think it really does blow it out the water, is the soundtrack in Tron is pretty dire. I would just get through it. Just it's good to get through it because you'll get more enjoyment. And Lauren's face after that, she goes, in fact, well, I'm trying to keep this not explicit, so we're just going to leave it at that. But her face said, some pretty horrible things about it, and I had to apologise and say, look, I promise you, right, it was worth it to get to this. So Tron Legacy, I'm smiling just because I love it. For the last week and a half, Lawrence had to put up with me either blasting the music or re-downloading Tron Evolution, which was like a tie-in video game, which you don't really get these days anymore, but a tie-in video game, and I've just either been sitting kind of playing that in my kind of spare time, or just Daft Punk blasting off the sound system. So Tron Legacy, it's one of my top 5 movies, and I know that's probably controversial. The same way Top Gun Maverick, it just improves on the original in every way, and just immediately the visuals and the soundtrack just, oh man, they just take you away. Anybody that knows like the Grid, like, oh mate, it's so good. And I keep talking about the music. The soundtrack is done. The soundtrack's done by Daft Punk, and it's one of the best soundtracks ever made, and it's probably one of the Daft Punk's best albums in my opinion. It was it's emotional, man. Like I was watching this film, and I don't know how many times, man, I nearly teared up just because, like, if the music's not getting me, just the ideas behind it, man, I don't want to spoil too much of it, because I think it is a real hidden gem. And I know I'm saying go back and watch the original. You don't have to. You really enjoy the movie. It's a really good standalone movie. It sets everything up really well, but it does give you a bit more context to the kind of world and what's going on there. But it's probably going to turn into a bit of a Tron chat for the next 5 minutes, so strap in. But yeah, the soundtrack, just the way the first shot of the film, it's like a computer grid, and then it morphs into a city grid, and then just the way in which the camera turns, and there's just this really long tracking shot across like a harbour into a house. The music's blasting, it looks amazing. And if you have it on, I watched this on Blu-ray. If you watch it in Blu-ray, it tells you it's kept the original aspect ratio, so it changes to IMAX for certain shots, so you really are like sucked into the movie. It's just amazing. One of the things that I've seen people talk about online, and I have not an argument, but this is my argument for the reasoning why I'm okay with it. But this was before, when you watch like the likes of Marvel movies now, people are de-aged and it looks really good. This was probably the first kind of major film to do it with CG, and Jeff Bridges' character, Flynn, his face is de-aged digitally, and it doesn't look the best. Like when it's moving, it looks fine when they're not moving, but the the reasoning I have for it as well, like, it's, if you think of like video games, if you look back, look at the first Spyro the Dragon to Spyro the Reignited trilogy, you know, it's almost like a Pixar movie, you know, that's how good it looks now. And I think if you think about it, like, it's just a game getting better. Like, if the new film coming out, if they do young Flynn again, which I hope they do, it'd be pretty cool. You might, you know, it'll probably look photorealistic, and you'll be saying, "Oh, look, that's how it should have been." But the reality is, you know, maybe the technology wasn't there. But if you think about it, like games, they look better every game. You know, well, unless it's FIFA, they look better each kind of version. Or there's, you know, differences in that. So that's the way I get around it. But yeah, it's just such a good, just easy movie. An easy 2 hours will blow by. It looks incredible, and I'm talking about this, Jamie. If you're listening, we need to sit down and watch this, man. This is like, I could watch it again. It's that good. So anyway, like, just some of the action in it is incredible. There's like the light cycles, which in the original film actually still looks pretty good. The new film, we're talking, you know, 15 years ago. The CGI craftsmanship in these movies, it's seamless. And to be honest, it is, like, I'm going to say it, even though it's all probably shot in green screen, because it's in a computer space, it's seamless. And the amount of movies now you watch, and you can tell that's a bad background, you know, it just blows them out of the water. And like I says, you know, you've got your plane battles at the end, the light cycles, the racing, that kind of, I'm hoping that feeds into what Joseph Kosinski's doing next. And if anybody's been paying any attention to, you know, movie trailers, the kind of big one that's coming out really, really soon, actually, the new Brad Pitt movie, F1. Now, you know, I'm sure there's money from F1 coming in. I don't know how much I like that, because is it going to be getting like moved into certain directions because of that? I don't know, man. But what we do know is Joseph Kosinski can shoot the hell out of action. He can mount the cameras inside the cars the way he did with the jets, and the G-forces on people's faces in Top Gun, you know, that's legit. I don't know any other sport or any other kind of outside of jet fighters that somebody's facing as many G-forces, you know, than an F1 driver is. It's I think it's going to be great, and you know, Hans Zimmer's coming back to do the music. Listen, that's a match made in heaven for me, and I am buzzing for it. So, just to recap, if you want a bit of time, or if you have a bit of time in your hands and you want to join the Whisky Sour Hour movie club, go watch Top Gun 1 and 2, which are available on Paramount, or you can watch Tron 1 and 2, and they're available on Disney. Or do what I did and watch them 2 weekends in a row. Boom, boom, knock them out. You're going to have a great time. You know, get some snacks, get a little, you know, maybe a little Iron Brew, wee bit of Pepsi, maybe a little bit of, you know, I don't know, a Corona, a Modelo, you know, a real ale, whatever takes your fancy. And I think you'll have a great time in it. And I hope you come back and let us know what's happening. But just before we kind of wrap things up, one of the things, if anybody's noticed, we do the Pie Hole Report, which is, you know, I just like to highlight cool places where somebody can go get some good food. And yeah, we were at Bread Meets Bread, which, you know, like, I've been going there for at least 10 years, and it just never ceases to amaze me. The sunshine and beef that I had was amazing, but that's not the reason. I'm not here to make you hungry. The reason I'm saying that is, if anybody's been out anywhere and wants to highlight, you know, just a cool meal they had, or you know, a boba tea that they really enjoyed, send them into the show and we'll highlight them in the Pie Hole Reports. Just, you know, make sure you let us know where they are, and you know, let us know what you had. You know, we need to promote that, and we'll share that on the pages. You know, just pop that over in a message or an email. If you just pop that in, and we'll get that done for you. But yeah, the Pie Hole Report. So sunshine and beef, if you want to have exactly what we had, and a little bit of classic poutine, which is just chips, gravy, and a wee bit of cheese. Well, cheese curds, but I felt very French Canadian having that. But yeah, it's getting to that time where I think I've took up enough of your time. Anything, you know, you want to talk about, please get in touch from the comments, which are all read. And you know, you can leave them on Spotify now as well, which is pretty cool. So you can leave comments, Spotify, Facebook, you know, Instagram, boom, lay them all there. Whisky Sour Hour. is all our tags on social media, so please do that. If you want to get in contact through email, contact@thewhiskeysourhour.com, and we will get back to you ASAP. And yeah, you enjoy your Saturday. Have a great long weekend, and if you're not having it, I hope you've got the best Easter eggs going. Highly recommend a wee Ferrero Rocher golden eggs. It's really good. Although if you've got a nut allergy, maybe stay away from that. Just go for a classic dairy milk. Wouldn't thank you for some Nestle chocolate. Not a big fan of that. And Mars is a distant second. But yeah, Ferrero Rocher is the way forward, or Cadbury's. So we'll leave it at that. I've been Thomas Waddle. This has been the Whisky Sour Hour. Cheers. This is just a wee post-credit scene for Ian. I hope you're having a great holiday, mate. You've been there for day one. You've been supporting us. If there's any issues with uploads, you're there letting us know. Just really, really appreciate any messages you send, and I just hope you're having a great Ian, mate. All the best.